Warning, this video spoils the entirety of the chapters covered here within. If you wish to experience it without being spoiled, turn back now. Okay, Berserk. I never thought I would come into a Berserk video saying okay like that. But that's kind of the point I'm at with Berserk right now. I need to make sure real quick before I continue with this that I did not forget to do a 1057 review, or that I don't have this chapter mislabeled in my mind, because this is not 1057, sorry. 368 is this chapter. And I also don't know the name of the chapter, which I always like to know. But this chapter came out. It's a thing. So I did release the chapter review for the last chapter, so we're good. This is kind of an ongoing thing with Berserk, where, in my personal opinion, I don't like when manga chapters have enough content that I can remember it. If a chapter has content that I can remember all of it, at least in my opinion, the chapter did not do a good enough job at fulfilling what needs to happen in a chapter. Especially for a monthly series like Berserk. I get series like One Piece if it's an exposition chapter and they need to beat home one point, if it's a fight scene, whatever. I don't like when chapters have enough content that I can remember it all and I can condense it. Sadly, that's exactly what happened with this chapter of Berserk. Chapter 368, I don't care about the name. But this chapter is pretty much what everyone expected. Griffith takes Casca, flies away on Zod, leaves Guts standing there looking like a complete and utter buffoon. We do get some nice panels of Guts in mourning or confused or dazed, whatever you want to call it. I guess him not accepting what happened. Isidro and all of them, so Isidro, Serpico, and Danan had their run-in with the evil. Skull Knight is back. He's on the island. We all knew that. But he saved Isidro from the evil. We did, however, this is a plus I'll give the chapter, we got some, like, fucking conviction arc level gore out of this chapter. Because the darkness that is rising up under Elfhelm is the same kind of stuff that happened at the Tower of Conviction. If it touches you, it dissolves your flesh. You melt immediately after touching it. Same appearance and everything. One of the characters even point that out. So it's very interesting that we're kind of back to familiar ground with the monsters, which is nice. We're since we're going into what is the last arc, probably, it's nice that we're back to what we know. Like, we don't have to introduce this new monster type that does pretty much the exact same thing. But no. It is the incarnation of despair, violence, pain, misery, everything. And according to Danan, I believe, it is the true king of Elfhelm. Which leads the question, what the hell has happened on Elfhelm to make these things the quote-unquote true ruler of the island, compared to Danan, who seemingly is a figurehead now. She's the queen, the Flower Storm monarch. But, like, what happened to make these things, this monster, this gross abomination, what happened for this to be the true king? What is the backstory for Elfhelm? Why is this happening? What is it? Like, we know what it is, but why is it here, basically? Another thing that happened was Roderick. We got to see the boy. And I like that. I like to see Roderick again. Gaga is doing him justice with his looks. I am being one of the bigger critics of the art, I think. And I'll say it again, because I've said it for every other chapter. Guts looks weird in this chapter. Griffith looks serviceable in this chapter. Casca just straight up does not look good in this chapter. Isidro looks like a basic anime boy. Serpico, I don't know what's up. I think it's the hairstyle that's up. He doesn't look like himself. But Roderick, in my opinion at least, is the one character who looks fairly consistent. Yes, there is a shift but it's not as huge as everyone else. And I saw a tweet that sums up my critique of it, but I'm gonna keep beating it home every time I do a review because it's my video. I can do what I want. But it's people complaining that it doesn't look like Miura drew it because Miura didn't draw it. This is his assistants, which yes is true. These are people that he trained. They have had to take on a great task that they shouldn't have really had to do. Since Miura's passing was so unforeseen, tragic, sudden is the word I was looking for. So that complaint of it doesn't look like Miura drew it is right because Miura didn't draw it. But that's not the point that I come from when I critique the art. I critique it from a point of Studio Gaga has reference for all these characters. 300 and some chapters worth of credit or things that they can look back on. Reference. And yet these characters don't look like they should. Like, Skull Knight, I believe, is one of the better looking characters. And I think that's because he doesn't have a face. He's just a skull, which isn't that, like, it's difficult to draw, don't get me wrong. Big overview for all my art critique for the series. It's better than anything I could ever draw in my life. These people are still super talented, but it just doesn't look like Berserk. But Skull Knight looks good, but there's a very obvious flip of his model in two different panels. One of them he's looking left, the other one he's looking right, and it is the exact same drawing with just some effects added into the panels. So, like, I get that is used by a lot of manga to conserve time. It's just easier. I just did my review on the new Chainsaw chapter. Even though this video is coming out before the Chainsaw Man chapter, it's going to be wonky. But, like, that's... Fujimoto does it in a way that's, like, there's no need to draw the character again. The exact same panel works. And sure, the exact same panel worked for this chapter of Berserk, but, like, it didn't have to. Yes, I don't know how long it takes to draw a single panel of Skull Knight and then put some blood and effects on it. And I get the panel flip, yes, again, it worked, but another drawing would have been less noticeable. All I'm saying is that. Whatever. My point doesn't matter. I'm not an artist. I am, but I'm not a super high-level mangaka like these guys are. I am going to take, again, the stance that Mori probably isn't dictating where these chapters break. This is just the studio doing what the studio wants to do, breaking chapters how they think it should be, which is fine. They're allowed to make decisions like that, but this chapter didn't have that much content. Like I said, I don't like when I can sum up a chapter's content in, what has it been, 8 minutes now? That's with all my rambling and off points. But we got to see that Magnifico is still drunk. He's wasted, which is good to see. Magnifico still living it up. We got to see Azan again in his armor, which I think he looked pretty good, personally. We got to see Puck. We got to see that the island is still falling apart. But I'm going to come back to the beginning of the chapter because I did kind of just blow through it because I was complaining, but whatever. I'll come back to it now. Guts. He is witness to Griffith taking Casca. He is witness to the island falling apart. He's witness to everything that is happening. He's witness to the fact that his sword does nothing to Griffith now. It just goes right through him. So he's in this point where he's despair is filling him up. Rage is there, but you can't do anything with it now because you can't hurt Griffith. So all this stuff is there, but he can't do anything about it, which I think is amazing. It is a wonderful way to leave Guts for a little bit, which I hate saying because like he deserves the best after everything he's gone through. But like, it's interesting to see that they are still messing with Guts this far into the series. You can only kill off so many main characters before it just starts to start to numb your audience. Like, if we were looking at a second Eclipse, where Serpico sacrifices the group to gain power for some reason, and you kill off all of our characters that we've known, that's not going to hold the same weight as when it happened originally. With Judo, with Pippin, with all them, that hit because you weren't expecting that. but I think it's a good way of doing it. The series needs to put Guts in a way that he needs to have something to struggle against. And you can't kill off your characters consistently because then you start to lose the impact of it. So, having Griffith not kill anyone, but take away Guts' entire reason to be is very, very impactful. And that is the best way that the series could go. Because in 2 chapters, last chapter and this chapter, you see the Dragon Slayer is not doing anything to Griffith. You cannot hurt Griffith now. And then on top of that, he takes Casca. So that is taking away Guts' 2 options. If you remember back to Godo in the, what was it? Nicks of the Blade, Scratch of the Blade, whatever. The chapter where Godo talks to Guts. I forget what it's called. Cracks in the Blade, I think it was. Godo tells him, and a lot of characters have been parroting this entire thing the entire series, Guts can't have it both ways. Guts cannot chase after Griffith with the intent of revenge and take care of Casca. And he focused on taking care of Casca pretty much immediately after Conviction Arc. He took that mindset, he switched to being a protector, not a revenger. And Griffith just kind of happened to fall into his lap then. The more Guts chased after Griffith, the farther away Griffith got. But the second that Guts stopped chasing him, Griffith got closer. And that is super evident with this situation where Guts did it. Guts was able to, like, quote unquote, repair Casca. And now Griffith is there. And he is taking Casca. It's a very interesting way of doing it where you are proving that both of Guts' reasons to live, revenge and helping Casca, are both gone. He can't hurt Griffith. It has been shown now that he has absolutely no chance of hurting Griffith because the Dragon Slayer just cuts right through him. And now he can't take care of Casca because Griffith took Casca, which I will get into now. Griffith taking Casca. Very, interesting, I will say. It's not a move I thought I was going to see. In my mind, Griffith, because he's been saying this the entire time after the eclipse, he doesn't care about Casca and Guts. They are nothing to him, whatever. But Griffith taking Casca is 120% because of the Moonlight Boy. Moonlight Boy goes out to seek his parents, to seek Casca. So if Griffith can take the reason the Moonlight Boy travels so far away and is able to bring it closer to him, so when the Moonlight Boy comes out, the Moonlight Boy is still relatively close. He doesn't have to worry about Moonlight Boy going off and doing something. Sure, Zod has always been watching what Moonlight Boy does, but, like, Griffith taking Casca allows him to control the Moonlight Boy in an indirect way. Moonlight Boy does not have to go off and do something random, like, off to some random place, if Casca is in Falconia. Which will be very interesting to see if that is what's happening, which I think it is. It'll be interesting to see Casca wake up in Falconia, because she starts coming to while Zod is flying away with her and Griffith. We get to see her eyes start to open a little bit, but we don't get to see her actually wake up, obviously. So if Griffith is going to make it all the way to Falconia with Casca, and then she's going to wake up, it'll be interesting to see how Casca reacts. Like, obviously, she's not going to be fucking happy. She's been taken away from Guts, from Isidro, from Farnese, from Shirke. All these characters that she knows care about her. And she knows 100% that Griffith is not interested in her. He's interested in somehow using her to benefit his own side. Which, I mean, that's kind of Griffith's entire character. He's a manipulator. He sets up the chess pieces perfectly for himself. So, to sum up what happened in this chapter, Griffith put Guts in checkmate. Or at least check. He has the queen now. All that's left is the king, and the king can't really do anything. The king is trapped with only limited moves. Queen is gone, being taken away by the White King and one of the knights, which is Zod. So, this leaves Guts in a very interesting position, because now he's backed into a corner. He's on an island that's falling apart. Roderick and the crew are trying to disembark, but the black goo is preventing them, and they might not be able to. So Guts and company might actually just straight up be stuck on Elfhelm for a little bit, or forever. I doubt it. I do think that Skull Knight and probably Danon together are going to pair up and help get them off the island. Because, yes, Danon is worried about her island, as she should be. It is her island. And Skull Knight has shown that he has this, I guess I'll call it loyalty to this island, where he cares about what happens to it. He cares about, because his love is buried here, which might be his entire motive for why he's actually protecting it. Interesting thing I forgot to mention, we get an interaction between Isidro and Skull Knight, in which Skull Knight straight up tells Isidro, you can't do anything, you can't fight these things, leave. And Isidro just straight up says, no, I'm not going to, I need to stay here and help. Which is an amazing, amazing addition to Isidro's character. Because the entire time he's been trying to prove that he's mature. He's able to do these things that the grown-ups can. And now you have a very Isidro thing, a very stubborn, bullheaded thing. He refuses to leave when danger is there. When danger is looking him in the face, he doesn't back away. This is big. If you remember back to, like, Conviction arc, or any arc with Isidro before this, he had this thing where if danger was there, sure, he'd try to save face and actually stand up. Like, the fight in the cave in Conviction arc. He tried his best to fight. He tried his best to do what Guts told him to. But inside, he was panicking. He was scared because he was a kid. But now we've seen Isidro mature into this guy who, sure, he's doing it to save face again because he's right in front of Isma. But he knows the consequences. If Skull Knight is telling him, yo, you should not be here, leave, and he's telling him no to his face, Isidro at least has to have a little bit of inkling, like, okay, I'll be able to help. Or at the very least, I can't just run away. He might be doing, he might be pulling what Judo said back in the Eclipse. I'm going to keep calling back as much as I can. It's better to die fighting than it is to die running away. Because if this entire island is covered with the black goo and Isidro runs away, he might just straight up get killed by the goo. But it's better if he can fight and try to protect himself and Isma and anyone he can, then he goes off and dies because he ran away. Serpico is the same case. I don't see Serpico ever running away from a fight if it's someone that's putting the group in danger, especially Varnice. And with this goo being on the entire island, that is a big danger for everyone. Because last time we saw Varnice and Shirke, they were, being, like, thrown to the side while the island fell apart. That's all we know. We don't know if they're still alive. They probably still are. But, like, we don't know what's happening. We don't know where they are in relation to Guts, to Varnice. We don't know where they are in relation to, like, where Guts is, where Varnice is, where Shirke is, where Isidro is. We know Isidro and Serpico are together with Danon, but we don't know where they are in relation to them. Like, in relation to Guts. We know Puck is flying above Elfhelm, getting, like, a bird's eye view of everything that's happening. So he's our eyes in the sky. He's going to help check up on things as it happens. So this is interesting because we have all of our pieces. Going back to the chess metaphor, all of our pieces are scattered, but they are still together. They're all in the same area. They are still in a place that they can still come back to base, but it's going to be interesting to see how they do that. Because I imagine Guts is by himself right now. Shirke and Varnice, wherever they are probably together. Isidro and Serpico are together with Danon, so that's a group there. I'm trying to remember if I'm thinking of anyone. Puck is by himself in the air, safe from the danger. So yeah, another thing I'll bring up now, because we're getting closer to me ending and wrapping up now, is I'm very interested to see if the goop that is attacking directly because Griffith made it, like if he used his powers to make this goo arise, or if simply his presence was enough to awaken it. I think it was the second option, because I think someone just straight up says it. But if his mere existence and his mere being there is enough to awaken this huge being, holy shit, man. This thing is powerful as fuck. Like, It's taking no prisoners, man. It's killing people. It's like I said, we're going back to conviction levels of gore here. We haven't seen someone die in, I'm not gonna lie, a hot second. And now we are actually seeing people get melted. We are seeing blood. We are seeing skeletons. It is Berserk again. Like, people complain about the fantasy aspects of it not being a dark fantasy, as gritty as it was, whatever. But we're finally getting back to that. I think that's what I can say about this chapter. It is a big, basically saying we are back to Berserk. We have Zod carrying Griffith, which is a very, very, very conviction level thing to happen. We have Guts not knowing what to do. He's at a loss, which also happened during conviction. We have conviction level gore. We have, not gonna lie, we have the possibility of a character actually dying now. Like, Roderick is put in a dangerous situation. I think Roderick is as major as we're possibly gonna see with a death. I think Azan is probably safe because he's him. So he's probably safe. I think Magnifico is safe unless Roderick dies, and then Magnifico and Azan are probably both dead. But yeah, it's very interesting. I came off at the beginning of this video very negative, complaining that this chapter didn't give us a lot of content, but it gave us a lot to think about, which is, I think, that's where Berserk chapters can shine. Even if they don't give you content exactly to, like, digest, they give you enough to feed on. I forget what number it was, but the one back where we got the Skull Knight tease of the first God Hand, or the other God Hand, the early God Hand, whatever. That chapter didn't have a lot of content, but what it gave us was the Skull Knight saying it was the fall of a foolish king. It was an eclipse. We know that Skull Knight was in it. All that stuff. That chapter gave us so much to chew on. I think that chapter itself was primarily, if not paired with a few chapters after, like little bits, that chapter was primarily the chapter that basically proved that Skull Knight was the guy, I'm trying to remember his name, Berserk. That chapter, I think, was the main reason why the Berserk theory actually is basically canon at this point. Ask anyone who reads Berserk as the chapters come out. Skull Knight is Berserk. Like, Miura wrote it, so all these details lined up perfectly. It has to happen. But yeah, that's been enough of my ranting, my raving, my insanity for Berserk. I should say, all of my critiques about Berserk come out of a place of love. I love this series. It is my favorite thing, period. I've been reading this shit for, like, years, I think. Like, since, I think, freshman year. And I graduated, so, like, bro. So Berserk is very close to me. I love the series so much. I like to see what happens to all the characters. The art's amazing and everything. So every critique I have that I come out with, that I complain about, I'm still going to read the next chapter. Unless something major happens where they fuck Berserk up so bad that it's not Berserk anymore, I'll read it. I will keep reading it. This series just means too much to me to not read. But yeah, that's been my reflection on Berserk. That's been my review of this chapter. I said it in the chainsaw recording, even though I recorded that before this, so I'll say it now. I'm trying to step away from the walkthrough angle of it. I'm trying to take my own personal take on it, where I just sit back, digest it, and spew out what I think. We're going to see if One Piece can keep that going when that comes out on Friday. Today is Wednesday. So, yeah, walkthroughs are kind of maybe not completely done, but they're going to get knocked down significantly on the role of importance. So, yeah, I have now recorded 2 videos back to back. I've been talking for an hour straight. It's insane. I was going to do a combination video, but I just want to get these out as soon as possible. I have to work in under an hour, so I doubt I will make a thumbnail while I'm sitting down. So this video will probably come out tonight, Wednesday night, probably like 11-ish. And then the chainsaw video will probably come out Thursday midday, probably. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that. And I'll actually do my fucking outro finally, because I've been talking for too long, and I'm rambling. I don't like rambling. It makes me feel like these videos are longer than they need to be. If you're new here, make sure you hit subscribe if you somehow stumble across this video of mine. If you like the video itself, make sure to let me know by hitting the like button. If you had anything you want to say about the chapter, anything I missed, anything about the video itself that you want to talk about, tell me in the comments. I read all the comments. I don't reply to all of them, but I do read them. And until next time, stay safe, have fun, read more manga, and keep on struggling. Okay, guys. Bye.